Couchmills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. It's just my freaking luck that an agent gets full leaked and revealed when I'm asleep. God damn it. Well, my boy and partner Coach Tanner filled in and he talked about and broke down the agent trailer that y'all saw earlier, and almost every single one of his speculations was 100% correct. But since then, we actually got a full reveal of all the abilities. Now we know exactly what the ultimate does, what the abilities do, and the character as a whole. So I'm gonna break all that down because this character looks so goddamn amazing. But go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for in-depth advanced guides, VOD reviews, tips, and tricks. We're gonna be doing an in-depth course over the brand new agent Astra when she full drops, plus much more. So go check it out in the links down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. So we got a full reveal over the agent Astra and all of her abilities, and damn, she's a controller, a galaxy brain agent, and a freaking MILF. 3-in-1. We gotta break it all down. So right off the bat, I gotta talk about her Astral Form, and a lot of you have seen this. We even saw leaks of this where she would fly up and you would see her in an ethereal plane, and everything would be like light colors with gold and purple all splashed in one, and she could throw down these stars. Well, this is called her Astral Form, and this is the baseline for all of her other abilities. So you activate to enter Astral Form, you fly up, and you get to place multiple stars down below. Now these stars are gonna stay there until you activate them. Think about them like placed objects, similar to like a cipher cage, but you can place them from really up top as like an Omen point of view, you know, when he throws down his smokes. And this is gonna be really important for the playstyle of the agent that I'm gonna break down later. But these are little stars that you put down, and they can be turned into 3 different things. So first off, let's talk about the first thing you could turn it into, which is Gravity Well. So you place a star in Astral Form, it's down, and you can activate the star to turn it into a Gravity Well. Now it's gonna explode, and it's gonna explode in a circle, kind of similar to Nano Swarm, and it's gonna pull enemies towards the center. Once it explodes, all enemies trapped inside are going to become fragile, meaning they take more damage. Now this is a really interesting ability because you can actually use one of these stars to potentially stop a rush, right? They try to rush through, you activate this, it keeps them at a choke point, you can turn on them, and if they're fragile, they're gonna be really easy to kill. And this is gonna be even more important when you understand the full flexibility of the character. So before I get too far ahead of myself, let's talk about the next ability, which is Nova Pulse. You activate a star in the same way that you do the Gravity Well, and the activated star is gonna detonate into a Nova Pulse. The Nova Pulse charges briefly, then strikes, concussing all players in the area. So just like a Brimstone concussion, that is exactly what this ability is gonna do. So you have a star that can turn into a tiny graviton surge that pulls people in, and you have another star that concusses people. The third thing that you can do with your star is actually Nebula, and what Nebula does is just turns it into a nebula smoke. Now we don't have full confirmation about how long the smoke lasts, but you see at a base level what you do with this agent. You turn into Astral Form, you put down these stars, and then you can turn it into 3 different things depending on the situation, and that gives you a ton of flexibility. Now before we get into that, let's talk about her ultimate and her cancel ability. First off, Dissipate is her cancel ability. She can use it on a star to dissipate it, meaning it goes away. It's going to actually briefly form a fake smoke or a fake nebula, and that's going to be returning to you. So let's say you're held up someplace on defense, right? And you have all of your stars just set up to activate, but then the enemy goes to the other point. You can always dissipate the ones on point so then you have them for later. So that's just something that you need to understand. It's pretty useful also because it baits a half smoke and then it disappears. So you can probably get a little tricky with the fact that it does a fake smoke. Now, let's talk about her ultimate Cosmic Divide before we talk about all of her abilities as a whole and how good this character actually is. So, Cosmic Divide, once it's charged, you get to use the primary fire in Astral Form to select 2 separate locations. An infinite Cosmic Divide will actually connect the 2 points you select, and it's gonna block bullets, LOS, and heavily dampen audio. Now, just like with the other abilities, we don't know how long this lasts, but this is absolutely freaking nuts. You get to block off an entire side of the point, and yes, enemies can push through, but they can't really hear that well on the other side. They can't shoot through, and they can't see very well on the other side. So it's basically going to get you that site for free. Honestly, this might be one of the most powerful ultimates in the entire game, and it's super powerful for retaking because you could just cut the spike, right? You cut right in the spike. Let's say you're trying to retake on like Haven on A site, right? You're retaking with your team, you barely cut the spike. Now when you enter onto point, enemies can't really hear you very well, they can't shoot you from far away angles, and now you could easily check the close angles with your team. Now something that is important to understand about this ability is it seems it will also block bullets for you, and it will dampen your teammates' audio, so enemies could find a way to play around that, but this is a really cool ability. But let's take a step back, talk about the character as a whole, and all the implications for this character, because she's freaking good. Here's the thing about Astra, she really overlaps between Sentinels and controllers. She brings a ton of utility. Think about Gravity Well and Nova Pulse. These are abilities that are extremely good for something like a Sentinel. Think about a character like Killjoy, where she has nano swarms and she has alarm bot and things like that. And a lot of times her general playstyle, especially on defense, is to put some sort of utility on a spike and prevent people from defusing. Well, you could do something very similar with Nova Pulse. As people push in, you could stall them with Gravity Well and potentially make a counterplay on them. Not to mention, you just have your smokes that you can always use if enemies are at a choke. On top of that, you don't have to just run and set up your smoke. This is a big problem with a lot of players, is because you just don't have enough time to activate your smoke. Imagine this scenario. You're a brimstone and you're on a point, and the enemy rush and they just want to push through your smoke as quickly as possible. You hear the rush, you get into your pad, and then you try to throw down the smoke, but the enemy's already rushing through the choke and it's too late. Well, with Nebula, you can set it up prematurely and you can have it ready to activate the moment you hear any rushes, basically completely preventing enemies from rushing through. And on top of that, if you combine it with things like Gravity Well or Nova Pulse near your smoke or inside your smoke, enemies are just not going to be able to rush through. Well, I'm sure that this smoke doesn't last quite as long as a brimstone smoke. It doesn't matter because of the flexibility. You have a lot of options with this agent, and you can always pick the best ability for any given situation. Now let's talk about her on attack, because this is something that Viper really struggles with that this character does perfectly. One of the big problems that I've often criticized Viper for is she could not put a smoke far into the enemy backline or in a power angle that they control. Think about an angle like heaven. As Viper, you would have to do a perfect toss just to get your toxic orb right to heaven. But with this character, you can go in your astral form, you can put one right where you need it to be, and you can activate it, thus making her viable on attack. And we already talked about how she's incredibly viable on defense. So because of her flexibility, her ability to be used as a controller on attack, and the overall power level of this agent actually has the legitimate pulling power to affect the meta. Now, that being said, will she replace a character like Omen? It's honestly too soon to tell because we don't know how long the Nebula smoke lasts. It could be a really temporary smoke, like 4, 5, 6 seconds. We have no idea quite how long it lasts, and that's gonna really matter for the viability of the agent as a whole. That being said, we do know one thing. This character has enough power level behind her that she can 100% replace a Sentinel in some compositions. You see, Riot talked about this a while back where they're gonna kind of overlap with some of the character roles, and that's what we're seeing here. She's like a Sentinel controller hybrid, capable of stalling, bringing all the utility factor that a Sentinel normally would, while at the same time providing that vital controller smoke role. Now, that being said, I do have my doubts about the character as a whole as far as some of the numbers that we don't know here. How far away can you use your astral form? How far away can you put down the stars that you can utilize? We don't know that. We also don't know how much the abilities cost, so if they're too expensive, that could perhaps be a big mark against her, but overall, the abilities seem powerful if they're fairly or reasonably costed. Now, the last thing that's really important is the skill ceiling versus skill floor on this agent. It seems that she can be pretty difficult to master, but those of you who put in the time and effort to really utilize her entire kit, she seems like she could be a really powerful agent in the right hands. But for that, we're gonna have to wait and see about the limits of the character and what pros manage to do on her. Now, Riot, I will be expecting some big Viper changes or buffs in the near future, or else she's gonna get 0 playtime with this new agent. I mean, brand new agent, already better than Viper. Sad to say, Viper mains. But I, for one, am incredibly excited. I'm hyped up on Caffeine. I love this freaking agent. Definitely let me know what you think about this agent in the comments down below. Do you love her, hate her? Do you think she's overpowered? Do you think she's underpowered? The last thing I wanted to mention is her character design, which looks so freaking sleek. I mean, all in all, Riot did an amazing job on this agent, and it just got me more excited to play the game. What about you? But go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for high-quality advanced guides, tips and tricks, VOD reviews over every single agent in the entire game, plus weapon guide, map guides, and we're going to be doing an in-depth course over the brand new agent Astra. So do yourself a favor, don't miss out on this insane opportunity down below. But thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video. That's all I got for you today. I'm Coach Mills. I love your faces, and I'm going to freak back to bed.